that's where it's a big blur for him, because he so he likes to say that he went crazy. I mean, kind of, but so one of those days, he woke up from a nap, and it's like we would talk to him, and he would say something that made no sense to whatever it was we were talking about. He, at first, and the first couple things he was saying was complete like gibberish, and he would repeat nothing but that. Like, he was like a broken record, like just saying nothing but that sentence he was trying to say. And I'm like, he just was looking around the house a lot, like confused, or like if he was trying to act normal, but it wasn't normal. And I would tell him, like, baby, look at me, like, can you like say something, like tell me something that I know you're okay. And he would completely like he was thrown off. He was not talking correctly. He couldn't talk. And I had told his sister that like, maybe we should call someone, because this doesn't seem normal. Like, it happened a little bit before. One time it happened a little bit, but he kind of just snapped out of it, and he was fine. Like, he's like, no, like, I don't know what I was talking about. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just, you know, like, he was just saying that. And so she's calling Kaiser, and you know, they're like, can you put him on the phone? If he can't talk, I just need to see whatever it is he's able to say or not able to say. So he's like, hi, Gabriel, this is so-and-so. Can you tell me your name? And he couldn't even say his name. And at that point, he sat where I'm at, actually, and his brother had food, and he's like picking at his food, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, he can't talk, but like, he's eating like perfectly fine.
So during the time, and then there's more stories, but during that time, I really didn't remember what they're talking about. Like
now,
like when
he
you
does.
now I actually
before.
had glimpse of what they're talking about. Like, I remember, like she said, I came from a nap. I was at my sister's room, and she had a bed, and it's really comfy, so I go on there. So I'm just chilling there, and then I remember that, and then I remember my brother and my sister brought McDonald's. So then I was actually hungry, because we got pollo loco, a salad, chicken salad, and I told her to eat first, and then I'll eat later, because I was gonna take a nap. And to this day, I'm not eating pollo loco. I ain't eating pollo loco.
That's funny.
So, but I do remember now that I looked over my brother's food, and he got chicken nuggets. So I remember gibberishing. I don't know what I said, but I know I wasn't talking straight, and eating the chicken nuggets. And I was like, huh. But
and then from there, it did get a little bit worse, because I think he went for the soda, and he's like drinking the soda, and it just like, it's like he drank it and it came straight back out. And at that point, we're like cleaning him. And at that point, his right side of his mouth it seemed like it was starting to slur down a little bit. And at that point, he would try to get words out, but he actually couldn't. Like, he was just mumbling in his mouth. Like, he couldn't talk at all. So I looked at his sister, and I'm like, we need to take him to the hospital, like, now. Like, we need to go. And the guy from Kaiser was like, I don't know what's happening. You need to call 911 right away. So I told her, if we let him go in this ambulance alone, he is going to freak out. He doesn't even know what's happening right now. Like, he's going to freak out, so we need to take him. And he was a little bit conscious enough for him to know that we were going to take him to the hospital, because he would try to talk, and he would just say, no, like, don't go. Like, he didn't want to go. So his brother finally got him up. I got his shoes on, and
I remember that.
Yeah.
A little bit. I remember my brother literally looked at me. And I think I gained conscious for like a little bit, or at least I remember it. And I remember him just literally grabbing my shirt and picking me up. And,
yeah.
And I was like, what? And then I think that's when I think I was able to walk towards the car.
Yeah, he was able to walk. We just were guiding him. We didn't want him to like fall or anything by just, you know, we didn't know if he was able to walk or anything. So we got him to the hospital. We explained everything that was happening. Of course, he was confused and scared because he doesn't even know what's happening. But he knew where he was at. He knew that in that moment, he knew that he was at the hospital. And he knew that that's where he was going. So he was somewhat conscious and knew. But like as talking wise and knowing things, he didn't even know like anything. So they checked him in right away. Typically at the emergency here, they do take quite some time. And sometimes you do have to wait in line and stuff like that. So they got him in right away. At that moment, me and his brother went to the back with him. I think it was really bad that they just let both of us go with him. And they were checking his vitals and everything. And I mean, I would have freaked out too, because there was like 6 people just surrounding him doing different things. And he was just totally freaking out. But of course, they don't know that like they're scaring him, because he doesn't even know that they don't know that he's not there. Like himself, his head to be able to speak normal and think is not there. So they're like, we need to get an IV started to run some tests, because they were treating it as if he were having a stroke, which he wasn't, but that's how they were treating it. And because of the way he was talking, they wanted to make sure that he wasn't on drugs or drinking or any of that. And they were asking us, like, does he drink? Does he smoke? Does he do anything? We're like, no, he doesn't. Like, this is not because of anything like that.
I do remember that, because I remember them asking me, like, multiple times, what drugs are you on? And I was like,
what? Huh? What?
None? If I was conscious. But I do remember them keep telling me, what drugs are you on? What did you take today? What did you take in the morning? And I was like, still confused, because I don't know why they're asking me the questions.
And then while they were doing his IV and everything, like they were like, can you tell me your name? What's today's date? Like everything. And he didn't have a proper answer for any of that. Like he didn't know his name at that point. So
I do remember that.
And so right away they're like, okay, we need to run a CT scan and an MRI. So they took him, and I think at that moment, it just kind of hit me, like everything that was happening. And like, it just happened all so fast that I think at that moment, seeing them like take him away was like the moment it hit me. So like, you know, it hit me hard. And so we waited for them to call us back for that date after those tests and everything. So at that point, I guess they looked at the results of all of that, and nothing was coming out completely clear, because he was scared and he was moving a little bit. If they told him not to move, I don't think he even understood what they were saying. So I think he was just impatient and like just moving around.
I don't remember the first MRIs and the first CTs. So that means I was probably out of it still. Yeah.
So then they're like, we need to make sure. And so at that point, they're like, nothing was really showing up at that time, like in those tests, I think, because then they were like, okay, the doctor wanted to do a spinal tap, and that's where they take out fluids from your spine, and they wanted to do that because clearly something was wrong in his head. Something was wrong in his head, and they wanted to make sure that there was no what is it? Brain? No blood.
Blood in my
blood in his brain.
Blood in my brain, basically.
Yeah.
Or a blood clot, or something
or anything like that.
They wanted to check my spinal fluid too, because if it's cloudy, I think they said it's something's pretty wrong. Then they use the spinal liquid and my MRI and the CT, and they put it together and they come up with something that's wrong with me.
Yeah, so, and the doctor was like, I need your guys' parents in here to try to like, because it needs to be out of his own willing, saying, yeah, like I'll do the spinal tap, but how is he going to do that if he's not conscious? Like he's awake, but he's not conscious. Yeah. So all of us, they actually let all of us in there, his brothers, his sister, his parents, and I, and we had they told us, you have 5 minutes to convince him and to tell him that he needs to do this. And we're like, oh snap, like,
good luck.
How? So I don't know how the heck we did it. I don't know how the heck his family did it, but they it's like he got some sense of what was happening. He saw how scared his family was. He saw how scared I was.
What I was told is that they sent my dad in to tell me to do the spinal tap.
No, all of us were in there at that time.
No, I know. But, so how'd you guys do it?
All of us were in there when we were telling you that.
Talk to me?
Yeah. Well, it was after where we sent your dad. After that.
There you go.
To keep him calm and stuff. So I don't know how they did it. They told him like he needs to do it, and I think he was there for a little bit, and he was like, okay, yeah, like I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. So we're like, you cannot move. Like you can't move. You have to stay still. You have to let the doctor do what he needs to do. So I mean, I think he did move. He did move.
He didn't like that.
Yeah, he manhandled him because he said that they needed to turn him on his side, and like the doctor just like grabbed him and moved him on his side.
Like I hesitated. I was like, oh, okay, and then he just grabbed me, and I was like, oh, okay, right now. All right.
And so yeah, he got manhandled by that doctor, and they got the spinal tap done. And they're like, okay, we need to keep him still and we need to keep him calm, like nothing that's going to agitate him. Can someone come back here to try to calm him down, and just so he doesn't freak out, because he needs to stay still for a while after the spinal tap. So that's when we're like, dad, we got his dad, and we're like, you need to go in there and keep him calm, do your thing, and you know, just do what you got to do to keep him calm.
So messed up. Use my dad.
So he went back there, and yeah, he kept them calm. He was good. And so I think that first spinal tap came out wrong. I think that's the one that came out wrong.
That's the one that had,
because he moved a little bit. And so when they pulled out the fluids, a little bit of blood got in there, which makes the rest of it, how you say, cloudy. Like, it made it not good. Not good because it has blood in. And it was blood in there because I moved, or was it blood in there because there is blood in my brain? So I don't know after that. Yeah, so then they tested what was good from that, and most of the time his brother and sister know about all this parts because they were back there with him with most of those things. So from there, they were starting to see at that point, they're like, oh my God, like there is blood in his brain because it came out wrong. So they're like, that's probably where the blood came from.
What I know, because now I got most of my memory back. Not all of it. There's certain stuff that I don't remember that they tell me till today what happened. But what I know is they tested more. They looked at my blood and looked at everything, and they concluded that I was diagnosed with something else. So then they told me that I was actually diagnosed with valley fever and meningitis. And actually, I got diagnosed with a form of what's it called?
Herpes.
Herpes, so, but technically it's the brain.
It's another different form of that. It's a different
form. It's not the one you guys think.
Yeah. So at that point, they're like, okay, I don't know what happened from the time of the spinal tap to but I do know after that, they're like, okay, he has meningitis in his brain, and he also has a form of herpes because of
it's something that they told me. It's very normal. Yeah. Because of what I have.
I think because of the meningitis. I think it's with the meningitis. So because of the valley fever, he got meningitis in his head. Because of the meningitis, he got herpes in his head.
Yeah. So when I got diagnosed with those three, they were really worried more about the meningitis because the meningitis means I have swelling in my brain. So that's why I went crazy, as I put it, because I don't know how else to put it. So they're really worried about that. And of course the valley fever and the herpes, which I don't think they did much for it. They gave me the medicine, but that's it. That's pretty much it. I took my medicine and then I went away.
Yes. So then they kept him in the hospital that whole night that we took him to the next day. And from that day, they admitted him to the hospital. So he was there for an extra 2 days, like full 2 days. Yeah. So they ran more tests. The second day, they took him up to the ICU. It wasn't for the severity stuff that he had, but they wanted to make sure they kept an eye on him because of the sudden change of when he went a little crazy, I guess.
Well, yeah, they told me that they had to keep an eye on me more than other patients, so they wanted to put me in the ICU area. And that's because I think I had to take a lot of medicine, like a lot of medication. I actually have a picture of all the bags of IVs and medicine.
From the first hospital visit.
From the first. And I have pictures of me having IV here, having it here, having it here, and not here. To this day, this has never been touched. This has been touched a lot. And
the first time you had IVs on both wrists, right here. But the first time
I didn't know this.
2 here, 1 here, and 1 here, and then 1 off to the side, I think, or for something else.
Yeah.
And so they kept them in the ICU, and the reason to that, how he said, was they wanted to keep an eye on him. But also, they said because a typical nurse in a regular floor gets 4 patients each, and in the ICU, it's 2 patients each. So
I'm not gonna lie, it was fun having my own nurse, and I just push a button, he's come running.
Yeah, and then it just
cool,
he needed the attention, and that's why he was in the ICU. So he was there for a full day, and the last day, well, that night of the second day of the ICU, they transferred him to a regular room, and it was a shared room as well. But that day, that's when they saw his 3rd specialist, and she is for what is it? This infectious disease specialist, and that was because of what he has in his head, the meningitis and the herpes. So she finally went to go see him, and she works for the Kaiser that's right there for the hospital as well. So she was like there that day. So they came to a conclusion, and they were going to give him medication to help both the meningitis and the herpes. So for those medications, he took those for at least like 14 days, I think. And then from there, the valley fever medication, the 4 pills that he was taking, she was raising it up to 6 pills a day. And that was because of how hard the valley fever was starting to hit him. And she wanted to see major progress. Like, she wanted progress, so they needed to give him a higher dosage of the valley fever medication. So that concluded the first hospital visit, up until the first hospital visit. And from that day, he did get discharged and to start his new, medications and everything. And we are ending this video right here because it is super, super long. We haven't even gotten past.
Me, we haven't even gone to the good stuff.
Yeah, we haven't.
This is like the beginning, level 1. All right. We haven't even gone to the good stuff.
So we are going to continue this video another day. We'll make a part 2. So stay tuned for that because we're not done explaining everything. And another side note, you will be getting a lot more of both of us together. If I don't know,
not hospital related.
Not hospital related. Actually doing couple stuff. Go out, go do things. Like we're trying to do more couple things and as a couple on YouTube. So stay tuned for that if you want to join our, I guess we could start our own little family of YouTube. So stay tuned for part 2 and we'll get back to you guys. Bye.